Welcome to Filmmaker Talks. Today's topic is adaptation. Remember to subscribe and click the bell so that you're updated on new episodes. All right, so we're going to talk about adaptation. So, Hollywood right now is just doing sequels, remakes, adaptations from books and video games, and the new Pokemon coming out, and Sonic the Hedgehog, and I think there's a new Resident Evil coming out, and all kinds of stuff. So do you think that Hollywood does a good job with these adaptations, and is there one that does better than the other? For me, I feel like video games are perfect for adaptations, like Resident Evil, Silent Hill. Maybe they're not as perfect as the video game. There's things that you have to leave out, but I think those were extremely successful. And then I worry every time that I hear it's a book, because I know important things are going to be left out. But I also think that if you really, really commit, like Harry Potter, I mean, that's like a gazillion films. But they have plenty of time to try to squeeze those things back in or develop them, get the essence of it and put it back in somewhere. Versus if it's an hour and a half movie, 2 hour, I don't think that you can adapt it well. I think the worst one has been Avatar the Airbender. That was The Last Airbender. That was terrible because they tried to get an entire series and squeeze it into a short movie.
Don't
and
forget
that was
the whitewashing.
Oh, well, they're talking. That's another episode. But yeah, I mean, even look at Stephen King. My favorite ones are the ones that were the miniseries back in the 90s versus his shorter movies, excluding Pet Sematary. But It and like all The Stand and all those other ones, I feel like they captured much better than Carrie.
Well, it depends on which Carrie you're talking about, because they made two of them.
Oh, that's true. I haven't seen the new one.
Oh, they made actually a TV miniseries too.
Oh, have they really?
And yeah.
Oh, God.
So I'll go straight up. I think it's kind of, no matter what, it's who's adapting, because first thing, there's always something, book, comic book, video game, there will always be some that cannot be adapted. It's just sometimes with the ideals, it's hard to grasp on a film. Second, who's doing the adapting? I know it sounds sad. Some people may be totally, I've seen it in both sides, where they totally love the book so much they never leave anything out and then the movie suffers. Or on the reverse, it's they don't know anything about the book and they just kind of skim through the summary and do that. So I think what's a good balance is find someone who enjoys the book but is enough to be inspired but know where to change, where to cut, where to things. There's certain, especially knowing what your format is. Stephen King movies, the ones I like usually are the older ones. The miniseries I like for the story, but they don't get any of the fear that he gets. Part of that's how his stories are better read than, seeing things in film. But you have to understand and enjoy something in the core. And some of the best movies I've seen that were adapted are someone who actually enjoyed the source material. They knew not to kid, but they were also competent filmmakers. And that's kind of how. Godfather's a perfect example of that. They knew when to cut.
The Lord of the Rings, I would say, too, is probably one of the best book to movie adaptations. Like with a book adaptation, there's always going to be something left out. Because again, you can't put all the book on screen. The movie's going to be 10 hours. No, like logistically, no one's going to watch that. I think as long as they get the spirit of the book on screen, they've done a good job. Whereas I don't think video games make good adaptations because it's a different way to tell a story because it's interactive. Like you lose the interactivity. It's just like I feel like there are more bad video game movies than good ones. The ones that come to mind are Super Mario Brothers.
Oh no! I love that movie.
Like Assassin's Creed, Doom.
No, Doom is awesome. Do you like action movies?
I do like action movies.
I think that video games, the ones that make it into an action movie, works well because action movies are mostly explosion anyway with this much dialogue.
Like it just And also because video games their stories sometimes tend to be like really convoluted or just not there at all because they make up for it with the gameplay. I mean, I think the one video game movie I actually like is Mortal Kombat, but that's just dumb fun.
Oh, okay.
At least for me.
But we're not talking about part 2, just the first.
No.
Okay.
What is part 2? There is only one.
Yeah.
Got it.
But we also have to look at when you take that, who the director's going to be, who the producer's going to be, who is the writer. You can have 5 different writers and try to do and put that to a movie, and all 5 of them, it's going to come out something different. It's being a painter, you have to paint what that art is going to be. I got really lucky with my comic book, Bubba the Redneck Werewolf. And while it came close, it was not close at all. But after you got to watch the movie, it's great. It's great. It's funny. It's action. It's silly. It's goofy. It's corny. Yeah, okay, the comic book is funny, goofy, action, corny. And it's very difficult, but you really have to rely on your writer, your director, your actors in order to pull it off. And it's really hard that if it's your story's only big enough for half an hour, please don't make me sit an hour and 20 minutes for you to finish telling the story or evolve the story a bit. Steven Spielberg did great in Creepshow. He actually put 3 different movies together to be one full length. So maybe we need to go there.
All right. Oh, you were about to say something?
I was going to say...
I hate it when that happens.
No, but okay, I remember what I was going to say. Sometimes film can actually do it better than the book, and that's also kind of an advantage, I guess, of adaptation. The one that comes to mind is Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. In the sense that Stephen King hated it. He hated it, he didn't think Kubrick got any of the themes, and he actually made his own that was closer to his book. But like everybody knows, Kubrick's The Shining is one of the big seminal horror films, and I think he was able to take a different perspective on it and put a new spin on it, and I think that's, for a talented filmmaker, they can do that.
And that's what's the difference. Maybe it wasn't perfectly aligned, but for
Right.
me, I would be scared to watch Kubrick's Shining, whereas I gotta try and stay awake for the miniseries.
All right. Thank you all for giving us your thoughts, and see you next week.